Welcome. Today is our Wednesday Bliss Techniques meeting. It's nice to have you here. Um, so, as usual, we'll have a guided practice, and we're going to do little like little the same, a little different. So, we're going to start with a little bit of activity, a little bit of movement, because I often intend to do a little bit of movement in these meetings, and then by the time we've done everything else that I want to do, well, we haven't even done most of what I want to do, then there's no time for the movement. So we're going to do the movement first, which is sensible. Um, so you're going to want to have a nice space where you can be on your hands and knees if that's possible for you. If it's not possible for you, or it's uncomfortable or strenuous or whatever may be the case, then you needn't do it. And if you simply relax and just imagine the movement, that will be perfectly fine. But for those who are able to do so, it will be nice. So we'll do it. So you're going to be on your hands and knees. Obviously, as usual, you want it to be reasonably comfortable. So should be some padding probably for most people. So please make sure that you're starting out in a good way, because I mention this because I know from my own experience, um, some people, maybe it's a minority, but maybe some of you are like that. Tend to just fling yourself into something and then just don't set yourself up in a good way. We want to set ourselves up in a good way. So make sure that you're here in a good way. If you're on your hands and knees and you're feeling already irritable that I haven't given the instruction, then that's a good indication that you didn't set yourself up in a good way. So you should feel comfortable. Think about a baby who is learning to crawl tirelessly on hands and knees. So if the baby can do it, surely you, big, strong adult, can do it, but you just forgot how. But I'm reminding you that you know how, actually, inwardly. That intelligence is in you. And so we can take the shortcut. We could take the long route, struggle for many years trying to recover our lost youth, or we could just take the shortcut and just surrender to that intelligence in us that knows exactly how to do it, that knows how to align our bones and our entire selves with nature, so that everything becomes very pleasurable, light, easy, comfortable. So see if you can discover some of that, at least from the outset. Give yourself that. Let yourself relax and be here in the most pleasurable way possible. Make sure that you can breathe, ideally through the nose. And we're going to start with some cat and cow. So if you don't know the cat and cow, I'll walk you through it. If you do know the cat and cow, then you could just proceed. As always, slowly, with awareness. It doesn't have to always be incredibly slowly, but it should be slow enough that you can do it consciously. That's the main thing. And as you become more proficient, you'll be able to do it consciously, actually quite rapidly. But we start where we are. So for those who need a little bit of walkthrough on what we're talking about with cat and cow, you're going to, we'll start with cat. How about? Okay, so you picture a cat. Cat gets up and from their nap, and what do? They do a cat stretch. So you're going to arch the back and press so that you're like a cat. Okay, and feel your whole self in it. Now, you shouldn't be trembling when you're doing it. If you're trembling, you're trying too hard. So less is more in this case. You don't need to be as extreme as the cat. The cat is designed to make they're very arch-like. So you don't have to be that extreme, but that's the general direction. And you want to feel that your whole self is involved, so that the whole spine certainly is involved in this arch, so that it's not just at some 1 or 2 points where you feel it, but it's nicely distributed, so it becomes light and easy. And then we'll slowly come to neutral. So just a level spine. And then we'll come all the way through into cow. So cow is when the back will move in the other direction. So the belly's moving toward the floor. The chest is actually moving starting to move somewhat forward. And the head also is starting to look kind of forward or up. But again, here it's distributed through the whole spine. So we don't want to just have just the head turning, because if just the head is doing the movement, then it's a lot of pressure right there in the back of the neck. But when it's nicely distributed through the whole spine, then it becomes light and easy. Let the shoulders open up and feel how you can be in this posture in a good way. So always in a good way. This is not something that we want to be straining in. We want to be so confident and comfortable here that we could actually just hang out here for a little bit if we wanted. That's the idea, but we won't hang out here for too long. But you don't want to just be doing something in such a mindless or poor way that it's strenuous and that you are compelled to move. So we want to choose to move. So you, at your own pace, a few more of those cat and cow. And remember, you can rest anytime. And I won't be telling you when to rest. That's for you to decide. That's for you to intuit, for you to receive that inner guidance and to honor that. Really, nobody else can tell you, only you, especially at this point in your life. Doesn't work so much for anybody, though. Even young children, you tell them, it doesn't work. They have to figure it out. Okay, so now let's do a few head movements. So we'll just do some nodding. So just nodding the head. So at your own pace, just nodding the head. And as you're doing it, of course, you're doing it with awareness. So you notice many things, possibly, hopefully mostly positive things, but you might notice any number of things. So be aware that there are many ways you could do it. I've already kind of hinted at this when we were exploring the cat and cow, but obviously you could just move the head and you could try that and feel what that feels like. And I'm not saying that's bad or wrong. It's available to us. It's a potential movement that we can do. But we want to know what it is, and we want to know what our options are, and we want to be able to have free choice of our options so that we can move in the best way. So you know what that's like, having done that a few times now. Now see that you can move the head, you can nod the head in coordination with the whole spine. So notice that you could, as you look up, the tailbone could also move up. So it's like a mini cow, not as extreme, but it could be as extreme, but maybe not as extreme. But that's the kind of idea, is that the spine is moving in that direction each time. So bowing and then coming to neutral. So you do that a few more times at your own pace with awareness. And notice how each time you do the movement, it should help you to discover something that you can do better. So that's really our aim with this, is that every movement and then every moment of life becomes uh, an opportunity that we take hold of consciously to learn how to do it better. Because there's actually great pleasure in that, in learning how to do it better. You know, we want to do, don't we want to do everything better? Don't you want to just do everything better and better every moment, every day, just learning better and better so you can feel better, you can achieve better, you can relate better. Everything can be better when we apply ourselves in the right way. Most of the time, we just didn't know that we could do that. We end up falling into overwhelm, frustration, so forth, all these negative states that keep us stuck. But we can, when we know the secret that we can learn, and when we have the fundamental knowledge and tools that allow us to get into a state that where learning can happen, well, then life becomes really a whole new thing. Okay, so now you could notice that you could even do the opposite. You know, that's a possibility. So you could, as you look up with the head, you could curl the tailbone down. And then when you look down, you could move the tailbone up. So that's a possibility, maybe. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Whether or not you can access it, I don't know. But you could try that a few times gently, because that's somewhat of an interesting move. But actually, when you do that, you might notice that when you curl the tailbone and you uh, look up with the head, what you're really doing is going into a red light. So that might be familiar to a lot of us. That's what we do a lot of the time. And in a sense, the opposite is really green light, because when we go into an extreme green light and we're trying to also look ahead forward, we kind of have to tilt the head down a little bit. So we can refamiliarize ourselves with those basic movement patterns. Okay, and then let's do a few, well, first of all, just remember you can rest anytime. And remember to do it in a good way. So if you're straining, if you're not able to relax your face and feel pleasure as you're doing it, then allow yourself to relax and feel pleasure. So there's nobody here, you know, with a stick threatening to hit you if you don't do, you know, 100 head nods. It's not like that at all. So you take your time and do it in a good way. And if you need to just rest, you rest. But really feel good, feel pleasure. This is your time, really. So for those who would like to, though, we'll turn to side to side. So we'll just do side to side. And you can notice that side to side, also many ways in which you could do it, right? So you could try just holding the tailbone still so that it doesn't move. And then keeping the tailbone still, turn side to side. And just notice what that is. It's an experience. It's something you can do. You can discover what that is consciously. And it's not bad. It's an appropriate movement in some situations. So we want to know what it is and how to do it. And then you could notice that you could, when you turn your head to the right, you could move your tail, turn your tailbone to the left. And when you turn your head to the left, you could turn your tailbone to the right. So that's a possibility. It's kind of an interesting one. So we'll find, but you could do that. I've tested it out, so I know. And then, of course, you could As you turn the head to the left, the tailbone could go to the left, which means the right waist moves to the right. And as you turn your head to the right, the tailbone could also turn to the right, and that means the left waist moves to the left. So those are three variations on a theme of head turning. And there are many other things that we could explore with that, but we won't for now. So you've got a bit of movement there. Let's just finish it up with a few rocks forward and backward. Just gentle rocking, whatever range is comfortable for you. And remember, you needn't do it, and you may rest at any time. But for those who feel comfortable doing it, it's a nice movement. So you can just rock forward and backward on hands and knees. And as always, make sure that you can do it with pleasure. If not, or at least with the promise of pleasure on just on the horizon, or something close to pleasure, or something like that. Certainly not pain or distress. So find the best way that you can do it, relax into it, feel that there's a flow to it. So think, really like these movements, I should say, can be inspired by Qigong. So that there's if you look externally at, well, a lot of Qigong is entirely internal, but if you look at some Qigong movement externally, you don't know what the inner experience is. But without the proper inner experience, it's just a movement. The proper inner experience, which makes it Qigong properly, is that there is a awareness and a volitional engagement with the movement of energy in a way that is pleasurable. So here, as you're rocking, can you feel the movement of energy, the rocking, flowing energy moving through the body that's pleasurable? And if you are comfortable, you can come all the way back into child's pose for a moment. If you're not comfortable doing that, you certainly needn't. And for those who are able to come into child's pose, really allow yourself to come to a complete rest. So the forehead is resting on the floor, the chest is on the thighs, or it could be between the thighs if you have that level of flexibility and your legs are apart. But if your knees are together or close to together, your chest will be on the thighs, forehead's on the floor. Your hands can be in front of you where they were, or you could move them to whatever other position is most comfortable. You could place the hands on the floor close to the knees, or you could move them all the way back so that the palms are up and they're resting on the floor next to the hips. And breathe just in a relaxed, comfortable way through the nose. And then when you're ready, let's find a comfortable position. We're going to explore a few things. If you could do it sitting, you could do it lying down, you could do it standing, but for most people, it will probably be more comfortable to do it either sitting or lying down. If you're going to lie down, probably on the back, probably with the knees bent or supported, with some pillows or cushions or something under the knees so that they're not locked straight. And you want to be comfortable, but if you're lying down, probably would be better if you don't fall asleep unless you really need to. So be comfortable, but not in a way that you're going to fall asleep, hopefully. So for those who were here yesterday, uh, good for you. You have some, you're at an advantage because you have had more time to explore the breath that we're going to take a few moments to explore now, and then we'll use that as our to enter into a deeper healing state so that we can do a few other things that will be very nice. But we'll take a few moments to explore this healing, victorious breath. This is the breath that can genuinely, honestly, with all sincerity, it will deliver you victory over anger and fear and all the variations that on those themes. This not it's a very, very sincere statement. This simple breath really can give you that, and when you understand that and you apply it in all the situations where it's needed, you will demonstrate that to yourself. Okay, so just breathe through the nose if that's possible for you. If it's not possible for you, well, it's probably possible for everybody. Very few who it wouldn't be possible for, but if it's not easy for you, then do your best to breathe through the nose as much as possible, but honor that you need to be also starting where you are. So if it's too challenging, then you can reduce the challenge by breathing through the mouth as needed or as that is helpful, but breathe through the nose as much as possible. And allow the breath just to be calm. So we're not trying to breathe in a particular pattern. We're not trying to have big inhalations or big exhalations. We're not trying to breathe necessarily into a particular part of the body. We're not trying to count the inhalation or the exhalation. We're not trying to extend it in any particular way. It's just calm, relaxed, gentle. And you're just observing the breath. And you'll notice that as you inhale, there's a movement that occurs. And you might have ideas about what that movement is. You might have thoughts about it. You might have images, but if you just set all of that aside, you can just notice there's a movement. Okay, just keep it really, really simple. Just notice inhalation, there's a movement. And just be curious about the movement as if you didn't know. You just know there's some movement. You don't know, pretend you don't know anything else about it. And just be curious in this open way, just observing inhalation and movement. And of course, then there's the exhalation. So you're just breathing continuously in the normal, well, I don't know about normal for you, but in a gentle, relaxed, calm way through the nose as much as possible. And it should be comfortable. So if it becomes uncomfortable, then that's just because you've perhaps unconsciously introduced some strain, or it could be because there's a shift that starts to happen. And if that happens, then just go with it, because there is an intelligence in you that is the same intelligence that is operating everything in life, everything in life, from the biggest to the smallest. So all of the celestial bodies, all of the galaxies, every single atom, every thought, every feeling, every interaction, every little detail, everything. It's operating all of that. And we can observe that that is so because it's happening. And that same intelligence is in you. You didn't form the fetus that became your body. You didn't create the circumstances in which you could be born. You didn't organize things so that food could be available and so that your body would be able to absorb it and convert that into flesh and blood. All of that's been provided by the same intelligence that's continuing to operate in you every moment, unerringly, doing everything, beating your heart, everything. So that intelligence is in you. You cannot alienate yourself from it. You are one with it. And so that intelligence knows you very, very intimately. So without you even having to consciously direct anything, you can just quietly within yourself just give thanks that this intelligence knows you, knows your healing intention, and is directing and organizing everything moment to moment in order to bring about, manifest your desires. So you can allow that, and whatever occurs, as long as you continue to trust in that and allow that, you can know that whatever is occurring is good. So if there's some change that occurs in the breathing, you can trust and know that that is good. But if you start becoming anxious about it and you start thinking about it and trying to do it and fix it or get it right, then now you've taken responsibility. You can give it back at any time, but you're responsible for your results when you've taken responsibility for it. So you'll usually get inferior results, to put it mildly, but at any moment you can then again turn it over to this intelligence in you. So you're just observing the breath, and the breath, when we allow it, is entirely guided and directed by this intelligence. Remember, the intelligence inside and outside is one intelligence, and it seems to be divided into interior and exterior, but the breath reveals the unity of it, because in the breath it comes together, inside and outside. So you're just observing this phenomenon and noticing that the inhalation involves a movement that you can be curious about, and likewise the exhalation involves a movement that you can be curious about. So something seemingly so simple as the breath turns out to be very, very complex. So if you thought head nodding was complex, breathing's pretty complex. A lot of different ways to do it. So if we're trying to figure it out, we're going to need a long life. So we better pray for a very long life if we're going to try to figure it out on our own. But the shortcut, the easier way, in my opinion, the better way, is to trust in nature, this intelligence, which is already doing it all, knows exactly how to do it, knows the best way always. So we're watching the inhalation and the movement and the exhalation and the movement with curiosity and allowing it to be calm and relaxed as much as possible through the nose. And then I'd like to, in particular, bring your attention to the abdomen. And if it's comfortable for you, you could even place your hands on the abdomen. If you do place your hands on the abdomen, be very aware and relax the hands and wrists, the fingers, the forearms, the elbows, and all the way up to the shoulders and neck and chest. Because with your hands here, it will help bring a little bit more awareness, really kind of a lot more awareness to this area. And this area can be completely relaxed in regard to the breathing. We don't need to tense up at all in this area, although most of us are holding some unnecessary tension in this area. So now you're breathing with awareness through the nose, calm and relaxed. And you're aware of your abdomen as you're breathing. And as you inhale, with your awareness on the abdomen, you can detect whatever unnecessary tension you can detect. So maybe not all of it, but maybe some of it, a little bit of it. And so with every breath, with every inhalation, you can notice a little bit of this tension in the abdomen, and you can voluntarily release it. Now, you might not be able to voluntarily release all of it, but you could voluntarily release a little bit, just a tiny little bit. Maybe it's so little that you're not even sure that you actually released anything, but that counts because you have to start where you are. So as you inhale, you become aware of any tension in the abdomen and you release that to whatever degree you can. Just softening inwardly, relaxing, sending a loving intention, a nurturing intention, a nourishing intention, a healing intention to yourself so that you can really allow yourself this opportunity to relax and let go. Because it's a funny thing, a lot of the time, when we discover some tension, we meet it with more tension because it's the only thing that we've ever learned. But now we're learning that we can do something different. So when you meet the tension, you can release the tension. Now, with every exhalation, you also have a task that you can assign yourself, which is a very important one, which is continue to be aware of the abdomen and releasing the tension in the abdomen so that the tension that you release when you inhale, you want to continue to release that as you exhale. Now that turns out to be really quite a amazing thing because a lot of the time we didn't have any idea that we were doing it, but we were tensing up with every exhalation. So now we're relaxing with the inhalation and relaxing with the exhalation. So every inhalation, we become more relaxed and at ease. With every exhalation, we become more relaxed and at ease. So how relaxed and at ease can you allow yourself to be? And turns out you could allow yourself to be really profoundly relaxed and at ease because you're just here. You don't have to do anything. There's no problem in this moment. And you can actually choose to be relaxed and at ease. And every breath provides inbuilt, without you having to do anything. It's provided for you everything that's necessary to reveal to you how you can become more relaxed and at ease. I hope you can see how beautiful that is. That nature is providing you with this amazing gift that you don't have to do anything for it other than just to be aware and be willing to have a truly healing intention. That's it. If you just do that much, nature handles all the rest. So this is the foundation for anything else that we're going to do. So at any point, if you are in doubt, if you get confused or something, or if you find yourself tensing up and you just aren't sure how to get back to a better state, just return to this, just this awareness of the breath with the intention to allow for a relaxation of the abdomen with every inhalation and with every exhalation. Okay, so we can try a few things here now that we've got the basic foundation. And the first thing that I'd like to explore together is I would like to invite you, if it feels appropriate and you're comfortable doing so, I'd like to invite you to imagine or bring to mind something that troubles you, whatever that may be. It doesn't matter to me what it is, but whatever, anything that troubles you, anything. Well, let me qualify that. Anything that troubles you that you would like to be free of, you would like to be free, where you would like to be free to experience and know peace, calm, happiness. So if you want to hold on to the misery, or if you're uncertain as to whether or not you're ready to let go, then probably don't. Let's not work with that one. But if it's something that troubles you that but you would like to be free of that trouble, that would be a good thing to bring to mind and imagine. So as you do so, notice that in order to perceive it as a problem or a trouble in some way, you would actually have to uh, allow yourself to go somewhat unconscious and to be overtaken by the pre-programmed reaction to the thing. So the pre-programmed reaction is a movement of energy or a sequence of movements that results in sensation, thought, and image. But the sensation or the feeling is the piece that kind of holds it all together. Because without that sensation, there's nothing that gives any real sense of reality or importance to the thoughts or images that might appear in consciousness. So you can demonstrate that to yourself if you were to think about uh, assuming you have no problem with a purple elephant, you could think about a purple elephant and you could notice that doesn't really matter to you. But when you bring to mind this troublesome thing, whatever that is, then it seems to bother you to whatever degree it does. Now, what is it that's bothering you? It's it seems to be the thing, but actually it's not the thing. It's the feeling you associate with it. The feeling is the thing at the center of it that holds it together as the problem. So I want you to now continue to relax the breath. So we're going to return to this victorious breath where we really deeply relax the abdomen and just allow the breath to be calm and relaxed. So not big breathing, not small breathing. I mean, it could be small, but it's not artificially small or big. It's not artificially anything. It's relaxed, calm, with no strain anywhere, hopefully. And just allow yourself to keep calling to mind this thing that's troublesome to you as you continue to relax the breath and the abdomen. So that what happens is that as you go through engage in this process, you're starting to release the bonds so that these thoughts and images can come to consciousness without also producing a state of an energetic state, a feeling state that you don't like. So that was just a learned reaction, but not a helpful one, it turns out. So, but what happened was it got stuck. It was the only thing that we knew. And so it just repeated over and over and over. And pretty soon it became such that we thought that's how it just is, stuck. But here we're changing that. So you want to be able to call to mind the thoughts and images as vividly as possible while also maintaining this calm, relaxed breath, relaxed abdomen. And you'll notice, at least I certainly hope you'll notice, that your interest will fade. You really can't continue to be interested in this thing because it doesn't have any energy to it. So the thing that previously all you had to do was call it to mind and you were feeling upset or agitated to some extent. Now what should start to happen is you've lost interest. It just can't hold your interest any longer. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday for those who were there, and for those who weren't, we did talk about it yesterday, but you weren't there. But it will totally review for some, and for others it will be new. But in the context of what we're exploring here, we want to understand that everything, all of our experience consists of, well, let's take a step back. All anything that we can describe, anything that we can say anything about, if we say, I know what this is, and we call it good or bad, it doesn't matter. But here we're talking about something that we've called bad, something that we thought was problematic or troublesome. But that thing, as anything else, it follows the structure of nature because it exists in nature. And one of those fundamental patterns in nature is that all things have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, the things that we don't want, the problems and troubles and so forth, they, like all things, have a beginning and a middle and an end. But What's happened is that the middle, which is this part where it's sustained, has been indefinitely extended. So there was a time before this thing occurred. So certainly we could say before your birth, your troubles didn't exist. At some point following your birth, your troubles began. This particular trouble that you've called to mind, when did it begin? I don't know, but maybe you do, maybe you don't, but certainly it had a beginning. And then it continued. So the end hadn't come about. It hadn't been stopped. Now, why did it not stop? What produces the end? The end is produced because the sustenance stops. So what is it that produces the sustenance? It's repetition. It's kind of as simple as that. So because it was repeated, maybe unconsciously, maybe because out of ignorance, but nonetheless repeated, and you can prove to yourself that that's true because you can just see that sure enough, it repeated. You had that problem for however long you had that problem. But in order to have something different, we have to first put an end to the thing that we don't want, at least if it's in opposition. So you want, let's say you say, I don't want pain. I don't want this physical pain. What do you want? You want a sense of ease, comfort, strength, confidence, etc. Okay. Well, there obviously seem to be opposed to one another. So we have to put an end to the pain in order to allow for the health and wellness to have a sustenance. Because otherwise, as you've, I'm sure, experienced in your life, you'll have fits and starts of wellness, a blip here and there where you feel, oh, I feel okay, I feel good, I feel happy, I feel joyful, I feel well, and then you don't know what happened. It's disappeared and back to the pain or whatever it may be. So the reason is because that old pattern is still repeating. It has a momentum to it. And this new pattern that you're longing for, it never gets the momentum because every time it gets started, it's squashed by this other thing that already has the momentum. So here, this simple process is now putting an end to the pattern that we don't want. And I'm pointing this out because when you properly understand this, it makes a world of difference. Because you'll start to see very clearly that your experiences are happening now, and that the essence of what it is the experience is made of is not in any way constrained by anything or limited by anything. But when we bring in some pattern, that is what gives form to it. We want to stop bringing in the patterns that we don't want. They don't have any power over us, but we are in the habit of bringing those patterns in. So here we're weakening the associations so that the pattern doesn't get brought in. Now we can, with the same awareness of the structure of things in nature, understanding that they have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that the middle is the sustenance. This is how it's sustained, and it's sustained through repetition. We can now begin to establish a new pattern. That's what we want. So what do you want? And we want to bring that, call that to mind now. Begin to engage with that. So what you want is in a sense, it's the opposite of what you don't want. So whatever this trouble that you were calling to mind was. Just now, what is the opposite of that? So if it was poor health, then you want good health, vibrant health, abundant health. If it was discord in relationship, then you want harmony in relationship. If it's a sense of lack, then you want clarity of abundance to know your true abundance. On and on. So it's just whatever you now call to mind, whatever you want. Now, for most of us, this is a little bit more challenging than what we don't want, because what we don't want, we've practiced that a lot. But remember, when you understand the basic structure of things in nature, then you don't have to be dismayed by the fact that it's not as easy or clear for you at first. You just have to understand, well, I'm very well rehearsed at that other thing. It makes sense that that would be easier. This thing I haven't practiced very much. I haven't really gained confidence. I haven't applied myself consistently to it. Because, this is the secret, when you apply yourself consistently to it, that becomes your authentic experience. I hope that this is making sense to you, because it's so powerful. It really takes you when you understand this, you never ever again have to despair. You never ever again have to fall into overwhelm, because you can understand that it makes sense that this new experience that I want isn't as easy for me because I haven't practiced it very much. I should practice now. Now is the perfect moment for it. So what does the experience consist of? It consists of sensory data, right? So we've got our 5 senses. It consists of thoughts, and then the 5 senses also give us these things that I've already mentioned, the sensations and the images. So we want to engage with as much as we can with all of these components. So we'll just say senses and thought. So whatever this thing is that you want, the experience that you want, the wellness, abundance, happiness, peace, etc. And it's okay for you to be somewhat specific about it. I mean, if the thing that's bothering you is the knee pain, then be specific. Abundant health, including my knee, ease and comfort in my knee, a healthy knee. My knee is strong. I'm confident in my knee. I can stand and walk with ease. I'm happy and pleased with my knee in every way. And so you want to think the thoughts. So to yourself, you want to think those thoughts that are, well, they're affirmative thoughts, which means that you're affirming the truth of what you desire. Now that I want to be clear about that. That we want to live intentionally from the inside out, not from the outside in. Most of us have lived from the outside in, which is not intentional. That's reactive. We want to live intentionally from the inside out, which means that it starts here with our intention. So the truth is your intention. So just because you have repeatedly affirmed what you don't want, and therefore it's clear for you in your mind what you don't want, and you say that's true, that's reality. You say, my knee is the condition of that my the condition of my knee that I've imagined repeatedly in a negative way, and the pain that I've experienced as a result of that, that's reality. That's what we think wrongly. But here we want to understand very differently and more accurately that it's always been inside out, actually, but we mistakenly thought it was outside in, and we thought we were victims. We want to reclaim that authentic power and know that your true intention is good. And when you align yourself with that true intention, you feel good. So when you think truthfully, my in this example, my knee is healthy, I am well, I am confident and strong, I love my knee, then it's true. This is very important. So you're not at war with anything. You're not denying something. You're just affirming the truth of what is true already inwardly. And you experience the peace and alignment and pleasure when you affirm that inwardly because it's the truth. Now, that's one aspect of it. You need to think those authentic, true, affirmative thoughts of that are what you truly desire. But you also have to engage the senses. So you want to visualize, if you can, your whatever the positive experiences that you want. So if it's the knee, then you visualize yourself standing with, pain-free, feeling pleasure and confidence, strong, walking, running, lifting, climbing with pleasure and ease. You want to, with a smile on your face, with good feelings inside. You can also visualize sending and directing the healing energy, circulating the healing energy through the whole body, including to the knee. Of course, this is just one example. It could be whatever it is. It could be the relationship thing, the financial thing, the whatever it is. But I'm giving the instruction with a specific example just so that it can hopefully be clear. Then also engage the other senses as much as you can. What do you hear? What do you feel? This is very important. So you want to feel those good feelings. And if you're not practiced at feeling the good feelings, then it makes sense that you wouldn't have confidence that how to do that. But you have to start where you are and allow yourself to feel whatever good feelings you can. We took the time with the movement practice, with the breathing practice, so that you have some access to good feeling. So allow yourself that good feeling and associate that good feeling with the thoughts, with the images. So now you've got all of these components. If there's taste and smell and other things involved, involve those so that it becomes as vivid and real for you as possible. Now, of course, you might say, yeah, but this is just in my imagination. Well, we have to start where we are. And we want to understand that life is inside out. So we start from the inside. It starts in the imagination. And we have to, that's the beginning. And then we have to repeat it over and over and over and over and over for as long as we want that experience. The more that we repeat it, the more real it becomes for us, the stronger it becomes, the more vivid, the more externalized. So you now have a taste of how to engage in this process. I hope that it's clear to you. So you want to do this as much as possible. And every time that you have some kind of antagonistic experience, when you have negative thoughts or sensations or whatever occurs, that you say, oh, it's I'm a victim, I'm defeated, I'll never be well, I'll never make it, all these kinds of things, oh, life's just out to get me, nobody, whatever the kinds of things that we think, use those as the opportunity. So I talked about this yesterday, that when we see that we can start it, we can begin it in our imagination anytime. We can always do that, but the sustenance is where our biggest challenge is. what is the enemy of the sustenance of what we want? Fear and anger, and all of the variations on that theme. So now you have this very powerful, very simple breathing awareness technique that you can apply anytime that the negative thinking occurs, anytime that the fear arises, anytime the anger arises, anytime the resistance to your truth arises, that you can utilize that. And then you'll discover that you can really enter into this calm and victorious state. And it may be tenuous. I understand, if the experience is really intense, then it might seem tenuous, but nonetheless persist. And then from there, you have to affirm the truth. And one thing that's very helpful is to know that there's a real power in intentionality. If there wasn't, then there would be no chance, right? Because momentum would just always defeat us, because there would be more momentum than we could overcome. But the reality is that intention is very, very powerful. It's enormously powerful. So when you can insert intention, you instantly can defeat all the momentum of the past. So you calm, center, relax, use this victorious breathing technique, and then you have to affirm, my intention is powerful. I have a healing intention, and therefore I know that everything that is happening is aligned with that. So I don't need to dwell on, oh, this negative thing has just occurred and I can't believe that I made this mistake and whatever. No, you have to see the truth of it, which is that which is happening now is in alignment and as a result of my powerful intention. It's revealing to me that which I need to learn, so that, as I pointed out, the fear and the anger, they are converted from your enemy into your ally when you know how to do it. So that the moment the fear or anger arise, it's like they're alerting you. They're saying, hey, boss, trouble, pay attention. And then you relax and you are aware and you get to learn about the old habits so they don't overtake you. And then you can grow in confidence in manifesting at all levels the truth of who you are, the truth of this life, the truth of your purpose in this life, which is a good purpose. It's a healing purpose. And so I hope that that's very clear to you. But just one more time, I want to say, just so I can satisfy myself that I've done it successfully, communicated it successfully. Whenever there is a problem that seems to arise, you now, I hope, have confidence that you've had an experience in which you could encounter a problem and subdue it, bring it under your command through this simple technique, and then you can turn it into what you want. And then the only thing that could hold you back is failure to continue to apply it. Because remember, it's all things have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So the things that you don't want, thankfully, they have an end. You have to choose it. The things that you do want, what's the secret to having that is, A, you have to engage the beginning, and then you have to maintain it by repeating that over and over and over and over. And how long will it last? When will the end come? It will last as long as the end doesn't come, and the end doesn't come as long as it lasts, which means as long as you repeat it. As long as you're clear that that's what's true, then keep choosing it. And if you, through that process, you gain clarity, as you will, a refined clarity of what you really want, because you get close, you're in the general area, and then you're like, oh, it's a little more refined than that. Great. So let that process continue, and then you end the things that are not quite right. You continue the things that are, and it gets better and better and better and better and clearer as you continue. So now that I've said that, I will accept that I have successfully communicated it. And that concludes our guided practice for today. So thank you, everybody. And for those who are here live, we can stay on for the Q&A. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So I'm going to end this recording now.